and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Comics Covered for the week of... Oh, wow. I just realized I wrote down month instead of May.
You did! You're out month 30, 28... Month 30th.
2018, episode 29. We are almost in our dirty 30s.
Is that a phrase that people say?
Dirty 30s. That's a thing, yeah.
Dirty 30s?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Why?
Also, why is it dirty?
Because that's when you reach, like, real... Like, all of your sexual genitalia are the maturest form that they will ever become. That's why.
All of your sexual genitalia. Also, I like the idea that there's genitalia that is not sexual.
Well, yeah, that's actually a good point. In any case, other than genitalia, here on Comics Covered, we talk about comic books and the world around them, the comics industry, movies, TV games, not TV games, TV comic games. We will also talk spoilers and probably swear. We will warn you about the spoilers, though. I'm Jack. I'm pretty new still, pretty dumb, though I'm reading at a very fast pace. I finished so many books very recently. And we'll talk about some of those later, which I'm excited for. And we're here with Doug, who knows some things that I don't know about comics specifically.
Yeah, I'm Doug. I'm the closest thing to a comics expert we have.
Veteran.
And I do know at least a few things more than you about comics. Maybe now it's getting harder and harder to judge.
Yeah,
but just generally just due to my longer time immersed in it. I do know, for example, a character named Bouncing Boy.
Doug was just complaining that it's getting hard for him to think of weird characters. So now we're gonna do more like character. It's gonna widen the category that he can go through. But Bouncing Boy sounds like a wonderful character that does pass my test. Here we go. I also told him I wasn't gonna give him shit, so I'll stop now. That's my last shit giving Doug ever. Ever
about anything.
Okay, Bouncing Boy. We're gonna do our new 20 questions thing. By sheer, well, it took you...
It's not really 20 questions. It's just you ask questions about the character.
Well, I know. Last week I had 5 questions, so this week I have to try and beat that. Okay, so I'm going to guess... Now, remember, you told me that you were going to tell me if the publisher was different other than the big two. Is this big two? That doesn't count as a question.
It is big two.
Okay, Marvel.
It is not Marvel.
Okay, wait, that's okay. You don't need to tell me. 20 questions.
Well...
Yes or no?
I mean, it's implied. If you set up by saying, tell me if it's not Marvel or DC, and then asked me if it was Marvel.
Okay, that's
true.
So
I feel like the answer is implied. Okay, continue.
That's true. Okay, so I won't... Okay, I feel bad about myself now. Okay, here we go.
As you should.
DC, Bouncing Boy. So, Bouncing Boy... is Bouncing Boy... Does he get his powers through an accident?
I mean, let's see. Yes, sorta. I mean, depends what you call an accident. I mean,
does Bouncing Boy purposely...
They use the word accidental in his origin explanation here.
Okay.
So
I'm
gonna say yes.
Okay. Bouncing Boy was under the age of 20?
I'm not sure how old he was. I assume he was, yes.
Okay. Bouncing Boy was he, created before the year 1970?
I don't know what these questions are doing to help you narrow down anything.
I'm trying to narrow it down.
But narrow down what?
When he was...
Just asking miscellanea, and I'm answering them.
Yeah, so answer them.
How is that helping you narrow down, what the gist of the character is?
Are you serious? I'm trying to get it into a little box so I can try and guess from that box.
Okay, sure. You asked before 1970?
Yes.
Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Okay, let me see. His first appearance was in the
before 1970?
Yes, he was before 1970.
Okay. Before 1950?
No.
Okay, cool. So, see, we have a nice little window here. So Bouncing Boy was a character created around Comics Code time, like mid to late 50s, going into the early 60s was his main thing. Bouncing Boy had an accident involving his dad, who was experimenting with gravity stuff. He has something to do with gravity. Like, well, no, not gravity. Maybe it's something having to do with rubber. Is it something having to do with rubber?
Not directly.
Not directly, but he bounces like rubber.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So his powers involve just kind of bouncing high, long distances because of rubber, and also deflecting things off of himself into other people, making him bulletproof?
Not sure about that one, but maybe.
Okay. Okay.
I would doubt bullets, but maybe?
Okay.
Unclear on that.
Larger projectiles, yes.
Maybe. I would assume he could deflect things. Yeah.
Okay,
I assume he could deflect things.
He was a sidekick, yes? Or no?
No, not a sidekick.
Okay. 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 And he was a good guy?
He is a good guy.
Okay. Okay, cool. So he's a good guy made in the mid to late 50s with, or going into the early 60s with powers that would deflect projectiles against him and also allow him to jump high distances, and not get hurt.
Okay. So there's one other important detail, specifically visually, about this character that,
does he look like a bouncy ball?
Yeah. He does kind of look like a large bouncy ball.
Oh, God.
He inflates himself up into a big old ball.
Oh, inflation. Okay.
Yeah, he's a normal guy, and then he inflates himself up into a big round ball. If you want to follow the link I've given you, you can see an image of him.
Oh, dear.
And he inflates himself up into a big old ball, and then he bounces around.
30th century. I didn't get the future part of it. Okay.
Yeah, so he's part of a group called the Legion of Superheroes.
Okay.
I
remember that. They were in Crisis on Infinite Earths for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they're an old DC team that they've been teasing the return of via DC Universe Rebirth and Doomsday Clock, because the character who had a fairly major appearance in this last issue, who's with Rorschach, is a character named Saturn Girl.
Oh, yeah.
I remember she has like the ring and everything.
Yeah.
That's a Legionnaire ring. So that's her group from the future, and he is a member of that, and his name is Chuck Tane.
See that? Chuck Tane.
Mm-hmm. Chuck, and it does say he accidentally drank an experimental super plastic fluid.
It must have been like he didn't know what he was drinking. Like he was trying to drink something else. I
feel like, yeah, that must be what happened. I don't know how else you accidentally drink something. He must have thought it was something else.
Oh dear. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, shit. Defeat. Okay. Wow. This is interesting. So he doesn't even look like that much of a boy, though. Like, he looks pretty old in this picture on top, doesn't he?
I mean, the Legion of Superheroes is generally, like, teen or kid characters.
Okay.
So I'm not entirely sure. Their ages are vague, so I'm not entirely sure what his age is supposed to be, but he's supposed to be, like, a teenager, probably.
Okay. Oh, he tried out for the team twice and was rejected both times.
Yeah, he was I think, kind of a joke character for a long time. And then, still was kind of a joke character on the team, but,
he was supposed to be kind of a Plastic Man sort of character in a way, because it says his good humor and charming personality led him to proclaim himself the morale officer.
Well, because Plastic Man is, like, he's a goof off and, like, a former criminal, and so he's, like, he's like more of like a goofy trickster character, whereas Bouncing Boy is just like he as a character is kind of a joke.
Okay.
More so than, like, he's, like, funny or anything, you know?
He says they have good humor and charming personality.
By good humor, I assume that means, like, he's friendly.
Okay.
That's what that means.
Oh.
But when you say someone has good humor, that's not sense of humor. That's he has good humor, which means, like, he's friendly.
Okay.
Linguistic wrinkle there. Anyways,
I've never heard that term before. Linguistic wrinkle?
That's because I just said it.
Oh, that's nice. I heard someone say salvo this week.
Yeah. See? It's not an uncommon word.
It was in Fargo, the TV show, with someone who doesn't use normal words all the time. So,
a Fargo salvo?
Someone, yes. Whatever. They said an opening salvo, which, isn't that redundant then?
Yeah. No, a salvo is an attack, and an opening salvo is like a first attack. And that specifically is a phrase. I was explaining what an opening salvo was.
Okay.
Because that's specifically the phrase I used last week.
Okay. Okay, well, Bouncing Boy, yeah, I'm a big fan. What's Legion of Superheroes, like, what can I read with them specifically? Seems like they're pretty old.
Jeff Johns did a run on Legion of Superheroes, I believe. I'm not sure exactly when that was, but, yeah.
Also, they said
probably the run to read in, like, relatively modern stuff.
Okay. Also, this thing, they said he accidentally drank extremely super plastic fluid while watching a sports event.
A sports event,
so he totally just, like, was watching the game and, like, trying to drink beer, and he accidentally drank this experimental plastic fluid. What?
Mm-hmm. Experimental plastic fluid, as one does. You have your beer, you got your growler or whatever, just sitting there, and you reach for it, and instead you reach for the experimental super plastic fluid.
The Erlenmeyer flask.
I mean, it happens to the best of us.
Doug, do you know how to spell Erlenmeyer of Erlenmeyer flask?
Okay, I'm gonna start off, and you're just gonna stop me if I've already messed up. E-R-L.
No.
Okay, E-A-R-L?
No.
Is there an E?
Yes.
Is there a letter before the E?
No.
What's after the E?
You want me to tell you?
Yes.
Ehrlenmeyer.
H. There's an H. Yes. That sneaky silent H.
Erlenmeyer.
Fun.
In any case, I'm excited. I would love to read this sometime. Jeff Johns run. Who draws it? Who arts it?
Shut up. Let's see. Who arts it? I'm having trouble finding Jeff Johns' run on this. Not sure. I don't know.
Okay. I see a modern-esque looking version right here.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of relatively modern versions of it, but I can't find.
Okay. All right.
It probably would have made more sense to look at Jeff Johns' page on Comic Vine instead of Legion of Superheroes.
Well, that makes sense, I guess. In any case, cool. I'm happy with it. Good job, Doug. I like that character.
Let me call up Bouncing Boy's creator.
Okay.
And let me just tell him that
I want to meet
approve.
Jeff Johns. He's I'm falling in love with that man. He's great.
Mm-hmm. He's great.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Created by Jerry Siegel and Jim Mooney. So let me just call them up, and I assume, is Jerry Siegel even alive?
He's with Patrick Swayze.
Oh, wow.
Sorry.
Hold on just 1 minute, and he's dead. So
okay, I'm just looking.
I'm sorry, I cannot relay this information. Jack, we need to move on.
Okay,
how was your week?
Now I'm hosting, Doug. How was your week?
Okay, all right. I defer to your authority, and my week was good. Yeah. We recorded before Memorial Day weekend this last weekend, so we recorded a little bit early. So I had a lovely long weekend this last Memorial Day. Read a lot of comics. This last week I bought the first book of the Witcher novels, which is the novels on which the games are based. It's not like a tie-in thing to the games. And it's called The Last Wish. It's a book of basically short stories with like a sort of like kind of wraparound, like little interstitial chapters between to kind of tie them together. But it's pretty great so far. It's everything that like I really like about the universe of The Witcher 3. I have or The Witcher. I haven't played the other games other than 3, but the third game's great. But it's really cool. It's like a cool fantasy noir thing where he's like hunting down weird dark fairy tale monsters, and awesome. It's a lot more. The books are specifically, at least this one is a lot more kind of like weird versions of like actual fairy tale tropes than like I'm in a story right now where there was a girl who was abandoned in a forest and then made friends with 7 gnomes.
Oh shit! So, okay,
but
how long are the stories stuff like that in general?
They vary. I think I'm on the 3rd kind of short story here, and I'm just past 100 pages, so they're like 30 to 40-ish pages. You know, they're good sized short stories. Okay. You know, like little novella type things.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really cool. And you're going to start playing Witcher 3 again, so I'm really excited for that.
Yes, which I have not played in a long time, and I'm going to try to just jump in where I left off. I haven't played in like
fine.
a year and a half or 2 years or something. I just know I'm going to hit some side story or main story thing where I'm going to make a decision, and everyone's going to be like, why the fuck did you do that? Because I forgot who a character was or something.
Look it up. Be like, when I get to this part, like, what should I do? What's better? Like, look up the mission, look up that. I know that's cheating, but fuck, whatever. Get your bearings.
Nah, I'd rather live with the bad choice in that
Then
case.
stop complaining.
But no, it's my right to complain.
Okay.
How was your week, Jack?
It was good. I started playing a game called A Story About My Uncle that I told you a little bit about, but it's really, really great because it's a very cool platformer that I described. It's like Portal, but instead of portals, you're traveling long distances with this electronic grappler thing that can grapple on any surface, really. So you you can grapple like 3 times before like not being able to grapple anymore. So you like grapple and try and swing to like your next area and jump really high and stuff. And it's just really fun, very smooth gameplay, and just really awesome. And the writing is really, really bad. Like, it's really funny how just ridiculous the characters sound. It's just hysterical.
Is that a first-person game?
Yes, it is a first-person game.
So you're doing grappling, platforming stuff in first person?
Yes.
Does that feel good?
Well, funny you should ask. Samantha, my girlfriend, also, she gets really nauseous with first-person games in general. So we just kind of, what is it? There's a thing, like, I think we turned down sensitivity of the controller a little bit.
Sure.
Just a little bit, not a lot. But no, it's pretty good because you're working in really wide open spaces. Okay. So I think like when you, as opposed to like, going around like an Amnesia style first person or a first person shooter where you're going into like a labyrinth sort of style thing, I think it's easier to get your bearing to see where you're moving through. So I don't think it's as hard to like do with motion sickness and stuff in mind. But I know what she's talking about.
I mean, motion sickness wasn't really my concern. It was just more like platforming, really finicky movement type stuff in first person stuff is hard to do.
Oh, I can see that because you don't have as much of a like inkling
spatial awareness.
I think it works because of the large distances things. Like you see where you're going like from very far away. So you plan out where you need to swing, where your momentum needs to be. And it's actually they do it really well. I didn't think about that, but you're totally right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool though. I've been curious about that one.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll check it out. That's pretty short.
It's very short. It's like, we're almost done with it. I'm pretty sure it's less than 4 hours. Pretty sure it's like between 3 and 4 hours. So very easy, very short. But yeah, I'm a big fan. It's really cool.
Yeah, I like little bite-sized little things like that. That's unfortunate to hear that the story or writing or whatever is so bad, but
well, it's not like it's bad. It's just, I mean, it's funny more so. It doesn't spend a lot of time on it at all. So it's not like,
so it's more about the mechanics, the platforming part of it.
Yes, yeah, precisely.
Okay.
Cool. But in any case, okay, that's cool. Our weeks are fun. We have fun lives. Let's move on into our news.
You turned like raspy at the end of that one, and I feel like it should have we should start out with like the normal news noise or sound, and then it like turns into hard metal. I'm not doing that.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm prefacing this right now. I'm not doing that.
Okay. So starting with movie news, we got a little Sony action going here. See, Sony's, they see Marvel over there, and they're like the ugly-headed stepchild that got adopted into the Marvel family.
Ugly-headed stepchild?
Shut up. So Sony's trying to build
head.
Yes, an ugly head. So Sony's trying to, pull together their little Spider-Man universe that they're trying to build without Spider-Man.
Maybe. I mean, depending on who you ask.
I don't know. Is he?
Is he? Eyebrows twitching a lot? Is he a part of it?
In any case, they got Venom coming out later this year, and Sony also has a lot of other things on the slate, including Silver and Black. Oh, wait. Sorry. No, that's the news. Sony pulled Silver and Black from release, so they are not going to do that anymore, seemingly, or whatever form it's in, they're not going to do it.
So, yeah.
Do you know anything about Silver and Black?
So it was a movie about Black Cat and Silver Sable. If you don't know who those characters are,
I don't.
You are correct. So anyways, Black Cat is a fine character. She's basically Spider-Man's Catwoman, like in pretty much every way.
Okay. Is she what's her real name? Is it Gwen Stacy or something? Or is one of them Gwen Stacy?
No, but it's let me look up Black Cat here, but she's like a powered version of Catwoman, basically. Her name is Felicia Hardy, and she is a sometimes romantic interest / femme fatale cat-themed character.
Oh, well, that's, yeah.
Yep. She's directly Catwoman. But, so they were going to make a movie about her and a character named Silver Sable. Fuck if I know. I think it's a 90s character. It sounds like a 90s character. I don't know, honestly.
Wait, so they never had a team
no,
before?
No, she looks like she was around before that. I can't tell. What now?
Were they ever in a team together like this is implying? Or is this just a random, pairing?
I don't know. I don't know. It was the most random announcement ever. And if this movie had happened, I don't wear hats, but I would have eaten my cat. Okay? I would have eaten my cat if this movie had come out. There was absolutely no way this movie was going to see the light of day.
Wait, are you saying eaten my cat or eaten my hat?
That was the whole point of the bit, is I said, I don't wear hats, but I would eat my cat if this movie ever came out.
Sad, you actually have a cat. That cat's nice.
That was the point of the bit. I don't have hats, but I have a cat, so I would eat my cat.
You have a
This
hat.
is how confident... Well, but I don't wear them. I don't put them on my head.
But you can still eat them.
That's not true. I do wear stocking caps sometimes.
Also, you can still eat them, even if you don't wear them.
But this is how confident I am, is I'm willing to put my cat, Skittles, on the line.
Skittles are really good. In any case, this is funny. Wait, is this more random than Mobius, the living vampire?
Morbius? Yes.
Okay.
They're both really random, but this is definitely more random.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Well, it's gone now. So
it's gone. Bye-bye.
Bye. So yeah, that's fun. But they're probably thinking we want a female-led movie because that's the, and it's better than making a random movie, female version like Ocean's 8. Are you going to see that, by the way? Did you see any of the Ocean's movies? Yes, I already saw them.
You haven't seen any of the Ocean's movies?
No, I haven't.
Wait, for real? You haven't even seen Ocean's 11?
No, not even the original Ocean's 11.
I don't think the original Ocean's 11 is a classic. It's just here's a bunch of celebrities. The Ocean's 11, the Steven Soderbergh movie is also that, but also a genuinely really great heist movie. It's one of the best heist movies like ever made, I would say.
Okay.
The first Ocean's 11. Ocean's 12 is dumb. Ocean's 13 is fun, but definitely not as... I would say the first Steven Soderbergh, George Clooney, that Ocean's 11 is a must-see.
Okay, cool. So would you say that trilogy is sort of equivalent, with lower quality in general, but equivalent to the path that Indiana Jones took with its sequels? Where Temple of Doom was kind of less so, and then Last Crusade was really fun, but maybe not as good as Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Not directly analogous, because I would say Last Crusade is my favorite.
It is
Indiana
my favorite
Jones movie. It's not the best, but it is my favorite.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. But I would definitely watch that at some point. I'm curious about the all-female Ocean's 11 movie, or not Ocean's 11, Ocean's 8.
I just wish they would create original stories that were female-led.
I mean,
I hate this whole idea that we have to have a primarily male-led thing now be primarily female-led. Like, why don't we just have different stories? You know?
It's a normalization thing. I mean, the Ocean's 11, all three of those movies, well, second one not as much, but for the most part, all three of those movies are, every single one of them is a man.
Yeah.
There's literally not a woman. Julia Roberts gets a little bit, she's maybe part of the crew in the second one. She helps out a bit, but I don't know. I don't really have a problem with it if the movie's good, but why not?
But we don't want Ghostbusters. Did you ever see it?
No, I didn't see Ghostbusters. I don't have a problem with the idea. All of the original Ghostbusters were men, so what's the difference? But I
understand that, but it's like, I don't know. I feel icky, but it also, it is a similar thing with the whole discussion with, the mantles in comics and also, or creating new characters. Oceans is kind of a mantle in a way, and they want to make more stories having to do with that because people know it, as opposed to a whole new story because they think it won't sell as well. So I understand why, but it feels icky to me. You know what I mean?
I don't see it as icky at all. I mean, if the original movie was all men and they want to make more movies, why couldn't this one be all women? It's just a different take on it. I don't really understand why it's icky, but
because I feel like they wouldn't have wanted to make another Ocean's movie only because that's the new fad.
Well, it's the original movies were it's an all-star cast of fun character actors and big name actors. Here's all of these different character actors on a team together, and no women. And so this is okay, well, we blocked ourselves off from a whole swath of fun character actors on the female side. So what if we just did a whole bunch, a movie with a bunch of them? You know?
I could see that. Okay. That's a good point. Fair point.
Sure.
In any case, Silver and Black is being pulled from release by Sony.
Yeah.
And tangent. Wonder Woman 2, though, another female-led, well, not exactly the same, but female-led and wonderful movie, the first one, which I finally got. I still haven't watched the last part of it.
Oh, you did not watch the end of it?
Well, I watched the end, the David Thewlis getting all crazy and shit. But I didn't watch the last 10 minutes. I need to watch the last 10 minutes. Are they good?
I think they're fine. I don't I don't remember specifically what happens, but
okay. In any case, this one, Wonder Woman 2, Doug, is going to take a nice little jump of 40 years or something. They're going to be set in 1984, which I think is really cool.
Was the first one in the teens?
Or was it in World War One? So yeah, about the teens.
Yeah. So this is about a 50-ish year,
yeah.
Or not 50-ish. I'm misreading the date. Yeah, 84. So about a almost 7-year jump, depending on I don't know what specific year the first one was in, but.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm doing my math wrong.
Yeah, I did some very bad math. Just now, but yeah, that's fun. Everyone was assuming after Justice League like brought her into the present that she'd just be in the present now.
Yeah,
you know. But I think it's cool that they're doing more flashback stories about her. I think that's something that we're getting a little bit of that with like Captain Marvel now, but like I think there's plenty of fertile ground, your favorite phrase, yes. For more period based superhero movies.
Actually, quick fertile ground reference. I read Nameless recently, and in the back, Grant Morrison writes this whole thing about their inspirations for Nameless and stuff, and he uses the word fertile ground.
He uses the word fertile ground.
Shut up. In any case, I think it's really cool Wonder Woman 2 is going to be set here because it's, I don't know, we don't know that much about her character. Like, we know where she was in the first movie, but, you know, that whole, you know, when we see her in Justice League and Batman vs. Superman, we don't learn that much about her in those movies, you know? We don't dwell on her all that much. So I think there is a lot of fertile ground, definitely. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
And it's a nice period to, like, play in as well, obviously.
Yeah, especially for Wonder Woman. Like, I think, like, for, a movie that's, like, about, like, female empowerment and stuff, like, I think the 80s is a fun time to kind of play around in for a movie with those kind of themes. Cool.
Yeah. Nice. Moving on into, did you have something? Okay, never mind. No, moving on into TV news, I have something very specific written down here that I will say word for word. Fuck yeah, motherfuckers, at least one more season of Legion is happening. So excited.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I didn't watch the new one. Damn it. Okay.
Oh, we can't talk. Oh, you must. Okay, so the last one you saw was the not flashback. What was happening in the last one you saw? Spoilers, by the way, for everybody.
Oh, God. Hard for me to remember because I watched the last 3 all at once before our show last week.
That was so much.
It was the one after the one with the big monster that was like deceiving people. There was one after that, and I'm trying to remember exactly what had happened. It was he's doing his like, he ran off to go try to find
his body
to go try to beat Farouk to his body.
Yes.
And his girlfriend was mad and thinking about breaking up with him.
It's so sad. Also, did you know that Sid is in the second season of Fargo as well as Melanie?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're great. Very different, obviously. But yeah, I'm really excited. One more season of Legion. FX really laying into Noah Hawley. One of the big talks was that people didn't know that this was going to return because it's been really low on ratings. Really low. Did you hear about this, Doug?
No. How badly is it doing? I have not been following. I don't really follow ratings for TV stuff.
Yeah, so Legion, I guess, normally does a 0.2, which normal, like, broadcast new shows usually do, like, around, like, 1.5 or higher. Unless they're gonna get dropped. Usually. That's very broad, obviously, because there are a lot of different people watching a lot of different shows. But Legion is, like, one of the lowest shows on FX to have ever gotten a renewal. The Americans, which has been really critically acclaimed. Something I've watched a couple episodes of, not a lot, has doubled.
I watched a few seasons of that. That show's great.
I really want to watch more. They usually do a 0.4, which is double that, but still really low. But they got, renewed, showing that FX really, really likes Noah Hawley, first of all, which is good. They should. And they also really like things that are quality over something based off of ratings, which is one of the stupidest systems to ever have a TV show. Like, even the name rating shouldn't be, like, in these days, people aren't watching on TV all that much, especially shows like Legion, which is more directed at people who want experimental, different sort of storytelling, which is not usually older people who are usually watching on TVs. So it makes sense that, most people are probably watching online. Same thing happened with Community. It's just, they get, canned because of this antiquated system and because they're not getting as much advertising dollars because of this dumb antiquated system that I use all the time, but it sucks. But thank God for FX. We like it. We like
this. I think this is a kind of a prestige kind of show for them. The people who like this show really, really like this show, and I'm fairly sure it's critically well received.
Oh yeah.
It's honestly, I think it's the best show currently on television. Like, it's so good and so entirely my shit. And I can't get enough of that. Although I apparently not enough to have watched the new episode.
Yeah, seriously. Also, you should really watch more Fargo, because that's currently on TV, and also like probably one of the best. I don't know if I like this one or Legion better. Fargo or Legion better. I have no idea, actually. It's so hard to explain, compare those, actually.
Yeah.
In any case, that's fun. We like it. We don't know anything about amount of episodes or anything, though, so we'll just wait and see. Also, quick update. So we have 2 more episodes in this Legion, which are both going to be an hour long, I believe. So,
okay.
Just so you know. Moving on to comics news. This is something that you put on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. So, ComiXology, which is a company that was bought by Amazon a couple years ago, is if you don't know, is the kind of primary driver of digital comic sales. They're an online storefront, or an app, depending on how you're buying them. And they have for a while have had this line of comics called ComiXology Originals, which in general is something that they do in tandem with the big publishers, Marvel, DC mostly, in which they publish digital only or digital first series. I think actually they're all digital only, but series, and they are now moving forward with a big movement to introduce creator-owned series to this line of ComiXology Originals. So they're moving into kind of a space for comics that is somewhat analogous to the space of like a Netflix or other like digital video providers like that, like an Amazon Prime or whatever, in which they are a primary storefront in which you are digitally consuming comics. So you could read stuff from Marvel and DC on there, but also they're going to be providing their own original content. And I think that's fascinating from an industry standpoint, in terms of how that could potentially, I don't know, like depending on if this pans out for them or not, but it could potentially be like a big new avenue for creative content in the comic space.
Watershed moment.
It could be, like it could, like it's too early to say anything about this. It hasn't launched yet, but I think it could potentially be a really great space for creator-owned work to kind of bypass the difficulties of publishing in the print space. However, also in a weird twist on this, they are also offering a lot of these books as print on demand, so they're also moving into the print space.
What does that mean,
which is
print
odd.
on demand?
So basically, they're not going to be putting these books in a comic book store like on a shelf with all the other books.
Yeah.
But you can order these books in print form from them.
Oh, wow.
And it's specific books. Let me see if I can find the details here.
Stuff like this really ruins the collection sort of aspect of comics, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the big debate that's going on in my head for the last few years, is because I eventually want to move into, I talked a bunch with Brian when he was on the show a couple weeks ago about this, but like how I know I want to eventually move into digital comics, because I just, they take up so much space, the physical stuff, but I can't tear myself away from the collection aspect of it. And I just like reading things physically.
Yeah, of course.
And I also, I just don't I need to get like a tablet or something. I don't want to read digital comics on my laptop. So that's like a major purchase.
Also, we look at screens so much these days. Like, it's tough to like sit down and like read something on a screen. When you're like usually it's a break. I see it as break to read and from like looking at a screen, like playing video games or like watching TV. So it's tough to like make that jump. You guys were talking about Marvel Unlimited, right?
That's how we got onto it, because he just got real into, he subscribes to Marvel Unlimited and has been reading a lot of Marvel stuff. Yeah. So that's what we got on that subject.
That's something where they put all their stuff online.
Yeah, that's their own service. They also do a bunch of their books through ComiXology Unlimited, which is basically the like non-brand specific version through this service, ComiXology. Okay. But they also have their own subscription service called Marvel Unlimited. Which is what it is.
Cool. Well, should be a fun little thing. I mean, it's going to depend a lot about execution, about the quality of their creator-owned content. I'm sure they'll be able to. Well, I don't know. Do you think creators will be hesitant to join something like this because it is such a status quo change?
I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of. I mean, like, in all honesty, like, as much as I love print, like most mediums, like, they have to make major steps to move into the digital space, or they're going to start really hurting. They've been very, comics industry for a while now has been very, like, conservative about moving into the digital space because so much of their industry is driven by kind of mom and pop comic book stores.
Yes.
And those people are very opposed in general to publishers moving into the digital space. And like it's weird in that like not really any other medium is so driven by like independent stores like that. Like they're so not chain driven. There are chains of comic book stores, but like I don't know. Like it's something they need to do for the long-term health of the industry. I think once they make that big jump to move a lot more into the digital space, like I think it'll help comics like sales overall.
Oh, definitely.
Like I think it's a much easier prospect for a person to download a digital comic than it is for them, a person who's never read a comic. I mean, like then for them to go to a comic book store and like it's like a whole different mental jump. I
mean, when I would go to the comic book store with you and I wasn't doing it yet, I was so overwhelmed. I wouldn't even go near the issues, the paper issues. Like I would just buy the trades because that's all I could understand. Like these are books, these are full stories. If I go in there, I won't know anything about anything at all. So like, it's very intimidating. Yeah.
But anyway, it's too early to say anything about this, but I'm always curious to keep up on what's going on with digital comics these days, and I think this is something to keep an eye on. Like if this is a thing that like that is going to happen more and more, creator-owned digital stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll just have to see more news on that as they come around. Doug, we read comics this week. Why don't we move on into our current comics? Cool. The stack this week. Are we saying stack now? Didn't you want to figure out a different word, right?
Stack is just fine.
Okay. The stack. We both got a few books. Only 3 we both got. Was it a light week for me? What did I get? Oh, no. It was going to be a light week, but then I got trades. So, shut up. Yeah. I got a big trade of what is it? Dan Slott's first run of Spider-Man. Oh, yeah. So that was $40. It was fun. In any case, we both got Doomsday Clock number 5, Marvel 2-in-1 number 6, The Man of Steel number 1. And Doug, and I got Your Deadpool number 5.
I missed that one.
Yeah, you did. It's the last issue of it.
Cool. And I also picked up, in a karmic twist of events after last week, you having more books than me.
Oh, I know.
The world said, oh no, you don't. And then, I also picked up Descender number 30, Hillbilly number 10, Justice League No Justice number 4, Saga number 52, which is insane. There's that many of them. And also X-Men Red Annual number 1, which I can't read yet because I haven't caught up on the normal series.
Oh, God.
But anyways.
Can we talk a little bit about, Saga, just, that's ongoing for me, and I love it. And I'm on volume 6 finally. So I think I'm like on chapter 30-ish. So I'm pumped. It's great. What just happened? The Dengo stuff with,
Dengo.
When he,
spoiler warning, by the way. I guess we're jumping right into books. So, spoiler warning for anything we're about to talk about. Yeah, but just go ahead.
Okay, in any case, spoiler warning, Dengo, yeah, that whole storyline where he's like getting the freedom fighters and shit, like, then they're shitty people, and goddamn. So I love that. Prince Robot 4 is becoming my favorite character, I think.
Prince Robot's so cool.
I love him.
He's a terrible human. Not human.
Well,
he's a terrible character. But
he is fascinating, though. Like, he's fascinating in the same way that, not in the same way, but like, I love Psycho Pirate, like, to bits in the Crisis things. But not because he's like a great guy or anything like that, but just because he's so interesting. Prince Robot 4 is right there. And then can we just talk about a little bit Descender? Because Descender, I just read the first volume of. It's one of the books I finished, and I love that art. It's good. I love it.
Dustin Nguyen is really, really great. He like, especially in that book, because they just kind of let him do his thing as opposed to trying to make it a bit more like traditional comic book style.
They usually
that's kind of how he used to work. But on this series specifically, he's doing watercolors and pencils without inks on very clearly on like watercolor paper, because you could see like the texture of it of the paper, and it's beautiful. Yeah, big fan of the art in that series and the writing. And
it's Jeff Lemire, right?
Yep, that's a Jeff Lemire book.
Oh god, that man is really, really doing well for me these days. He's so good always. Mm-hmm. Is there one thing that he doesn't do well on?
His superhero stuff is hit or miss. He has some very good hits in superhero books, but not always a gimme. Okay.
Do you think that's more like he's not as good at like going along with a continuity and stuff like that, or like an idea that a corporation has behind it? Or do you
I think it's honestly that like he's a creator who needs like full creative like free reign to do whatever, and when he's working in the studio, like the Big Two space, I think they're a little bit too reticent to let him just do whatever, and for whatever reason they just don't treat him as like one of the like prestige big names who they'll just let do whatever, even though I think he's of that caliber. But his superhero stuff tends to be fairly conservative in that sense, and because
like
great.
Black Hammer is superhero stuff, but it's great,
But it's his own superhero,
exactly,
and he can do whatever. And that series specifically is like cool because in a lot of ways, like him playing with superhero characters and tropes without using the actual characters. And so it's kind of interesting to see that in comparison to like some of his actual Big Two stuff, which sometimes can feel a little bit too constrained. Although he does have some great runs. He did a great run on DC's Animal Man, a great run of Moon Knight. Great stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot you told me about Moon Knight. It's him and Warren Ellis are the big great runs, right?
Of like the modern stuff, yeah.
Modern stuff, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to do that. They have, I swear I ordered it from my store, and I saw they had it, but I just can't get it right now because I have so much to read.
Cool.
In any case, let's go on into our cover of the week. I'm gonna go first, because screw you, Doug. My cover / back cover of the week is Doomsday Clock. First of all, these covers, okay, you gotta tell me, Doug, what's the difference? Is this the same kind of material on the covers that the original Watchmen was coming out on? Why did they do this thicker sort of style, cardboard?
I mean, I don't know if that's how they printed the original Watchmen series. I'd be surprised since it's an old thing. But this is generally just like, especially at DC, what the Big Two, but yeah, especially DC does with like, it's like really, I'm using the word prestige a lot this episode, but like, this is a like, I don't know what other word to use for it. This is a prestige series for them. Like, this is our pump our chests, like, look at this amazing work of art kind of series. They do the same, like, this is how they print Mr. Miracle, right? Like, they have
they did the last issue like this, but not.
No, they're all like this. Yeah, unless you're getting variant covers.
They got variant covers.
They've all had this thick, more kind of resilient cover. Okay. It gives them a little bit more weight. But yeah, they tend to do that with like the series from like really big name people that is like, here's this is a major work at our publisher. It doesn't necessarily mean anything about the quality of it. Yeah. But I mean, in general, they kind of know when they have something that like this is an important thing for them.
Okay. In any case,
sure.
I love this. Also, I didn't tell you, I found that the Gary Frank also did Legion of Superheroes with him. So.
Yes. That
Gary
was,
Frank on this book as well. That. And he's great. I love this cover. It's great. I love just how people draw the Joker, like, a lot, because...
Oh, you have a variant, then. So you have the Joker variant. Okay. Sorry, just give me 1 sec to look it up.
Oh, shit. What's the Joker? Really? Where does it say? It doesn't say variants anywhere. That's lame.
Watchmen 5 Joker. Let me just... Oh, yes, it's this one where he's putting on makeup in, like, a Vite compact.
Yes.
With a mirror.
Yeah.
That cover's great.
Little smiley face on the mushroom cloud in the background. He has a Batman watch, which is really great. There's just a lot of really great details in here. Like, what is it? Yeah, the Atrium Vite stuff. And I just love the detail that they put into his face all the time. Like, it's just... I just love that. And also I wanted to talk about this cover for a reason that is not variant. So, Doug, turn to the back.
Okay.
Have you noticed that red has been taking up more and more of this page?
I mean, that makes sense. I assume the clock is also moving closer to...
It is. If you look at all of them, the clock is moving, the red is taking up more and more of the page. Do you think, this is the big debate that I found online, do you think that the red is blood, or do you think that the red is Superman's cape?
Could be.
I think it's Superman's cape.
I mean, we've got a Superman symbol. Right? I mean, I doubt we're ever going to have, like, a reveal on one of these covers of, like, oh, it's his cape. I don't know how they would do that, but I suppose you could read it as that as well, yeah.
You don't think that they would have, like, a symbol, like a, I don't know, translucent symbol on the last cover? Or something? I guess.
What do you mean?
I guess he doesn't have any symbols on.
Oh, nah, depending on the version, I don't think he currently does. I could be wrong on that, but depending on the version, he sometimes has a Superman symbol on the cape.
Okay.
But I don't think he currently does. I could be wrong.
Is there there's a picture of him somewhere here? I think maybe we'll get a. I don't know.
I mean, we'd look in Man of Steel. But anyway, So I like that kind of thing. Yeah, that we're counting down to the end. We're almost halfway through this series.
We are.
Yeah.
I didn't realize every single one is $5. By the way, that's nuts.
Yeah,
Jesus.
I mean, yeah. Again, it's a prestige series. I'm gonna see if I can say that 10 more times this episode.
Please. Also, can you just tell me what your cover was then? What was yours?
It is a image of Adrian Veidt's X-ray.
Oh, okay. I like that too. Because it's like a minimalist.
Yes, it's the same as all the other regular covers for this series, in which it is a mirror of the first panel, like the original Watchmen did.
I should have known this was a variant by that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because that was a gimmick that the original Watchmen did, in which the cover almost serves as a kind of first panel of the issue, or is a mirror of it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's kind of a more zoomed out version of it, and then the first panel is a more zoomed in version of it.
Okay.
And it zooms further and further in.
Interesting. Well, I like my cover.
Yeah, I was interested to see what you had to say about the X-ray cover, because I was like, it's good. It looks like an X-ray.
Yeah.
but yeah, that Joker cover is beautiful. Very, very great Joker image.
In any case, what's your cover of the week?
My cover this week is a book that you have not read yet. Although
I have read the first issue.
Oh, you have? Oh, okay. I didn't know you had read any of it yet.
We read the first issue to see if we'd like it, because the artist is the same as... Shit, I forgot. Eric Powell, what else did he do that I read?
The Goon. Or you haven't... I guess you didn't read The Goon, but I don't think you've read anything by him.
Oh, yeah. I think I told Samantha about The Goon, and I told him, oh, this is art, and she's like, oh, yeah, I saw that. I really liked the art. I also saw Hillbilly by him. So then we picked the first issue, and now we got the first volume, because we like the first issue.
Cool. But anyway, so yeah, Hillbilly number 10 is my cover of the week here, and I linked you to an image here, so you can see what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. But this cover is like something that Eric Powell is probably my favorite currently working comic book artist.
Oh wow.
He's like I I just like something about his art just like really is cool to me.
I mean, I see right here, like, there's something about the texture of the faces, how he draws them. Like, that's really, really cool.
So in this series specifically, he's been kind of branching out in terms of techniques, and he in this series has, even in the later Goon stuff, he was moving towards this, but like into like a bit more kind of mixed media stuff, because it used to be all just be, you know, like it was his style, but it was, you know, inked and colored normally comic book art. And then he's been moving in the later Goon stuff, and then especially in this series into like mixing along. He has inked stuff. He has stuff that's just pencils. It's all kind of watercolored. And so then there's panels that are just watercolored, and a lot of the backgrounds are watercolored.
Oh, wow. That doesn't get confusing
like,
at all, does it?
No, it's just all like, it's all so natural feeling and adapted to whatever the panel needs. And like I'm looking at like a panel right here that has like the cover, inked foreground with like character in the background that's just pencil, and then the background behind them is all watercolor. It's beautiful, and it's all super well done, and in similar ways to how he tonally treats his work, like is able to switch things up very quickly and mix a lot of different techniques together, and it all always like never feels forced. It always feels exactly like what it should be. And this cover is just like that. We've got a big penciled and watercolored image of like these this witch and all these monsters, demons, whatever you want to call them, in this big swirly cloud of smoke. All these like curly tendrils, very, very swirly. And then a fully inked image of the main character, Rondel, the hillbilly, in the foreground in front of it, which like really stands out because he's this very dark shadowed, fully inked character.
Yeah.
Kind of billowing in the wind, his hair and his cape.
Oh.
I love his techniques, and I think he's someone who experiments a lot in his technique, and I think it's always he always does really, really execute on those kinds of experiments, and this cover really, really reflects that.
So he writes this too?
Yep, he writes, draws, colors it, letters it.
Do you think that's reflected in the work? Like, everything seems very, very, like...
Yes.
Totally,
yeah, that's what, yeah. One of the reasons I really like his work, Eric Powell's work, is because it all feels very, very of a vision of specifically his story and his tone, and it all just really, really fits together really well. Big fan. I mentioned it, I think a couple months ago or a month ago, or whenever C2E2 was, that I had and met him and got a book signed by him, and I was very excited by that because he's a personal favorite of mine in comics.
That's awesome. We have the first volume, so I'll probably be able to, if I read that, I'll be able to get, probably 6 through 10 of these issues and catch up. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I just noticed today he's apparently got a new, I don't know if he's just relaunching as a different miniseries or if this is going to be in tandem to the regular series, but he's got a new titled Hillbilly series starting in August.
Oh, geez.
Which called Hillbilly and the something about witches.
Is it the end of August?
Let me see.
Because if that's 2 months from now, if he has one that comes out in June and then July, like, he could just finish up this in 12 and then go on to a new arc. Are you sure it's not like just a new arc?
No, because it's got a different title. It's Hillbilly and the Something, #1.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to. All right, I'll let you talk about we talked about your cover of the week.
We did.
Well, I'll let you set up your book that you got to talk about this week, and I'm gonna look up real quick.
Okay.
Interject at some point with
the book
info
that I gotta talk about is Marvel 2-in-1 #6. So Many Things. Well, just one thing, and a Human Torch. Okay. In any case, I got to talk about this because I love this book, first of all. You know, we got The Thing and Human Torch from, they call it 616 in Marvel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's the main universe.
They're from 616, and they're like, dude, and things like, dude, Torch, we got to go. Well, it's, by the way, spoilers, we already did it, so screw you. Things like, dude, Human Torch, we got to find Reed and Sue. They're not dead. They're trapped in another universe. But Things knows, quote unquote, that they're dead, but they're not really dead, obviously, that we all know. They are actually in a new universe, so he's lying and whatever. So they're in a new universe where Doom, the Doom of this universe, has basically become Galactus. He's the only one that could stop him by merging with him, and then he got the hunger that Galactus has for worlds. So Doom, as Galactus, ate every single planet in the universe in this universe, and other than Earth. And now he's coming for Earth. And we're trying to work with a older and more sad Reed Richards. And we found out last week that Doom from 616 followed them here, and he's going to help them out. And I love this because I hear that Doom is a very interesting character, trying to be a better guy in this, and I feel like that would have helped my enjoyment of this, even though I enjoyed it all the same. I think his little tease of going evil at some point would have been probably hit harder a little bit. Did it for you, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like his turn to being good? Is that what you're asking?
In here, he like has a little moment where he's like gonna be evil again, you know?
Yeah. And you think that would have hit harder if you had like known more about his current status quo? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Like as the irredeemable, or not irredeemable, or is that the, I think it's irredeemable, Iron Man is what he's going by, or at least what his book is called. I think he's just going by Iron Man. But
okay.
So he's been trying to be a hero, and in this book, but the thing is, like, his turn towards, quote, evil isn't necessarily him being evil.
Selfish, more so. Conceited.
It's more like him being egotistical and being like, I'm the only one who can solve this.
Yeah.
Because that's Doom. Like, Doom's character is ego, is him being so convinced that he is the most righteous person on the planet, even when he's doing the most horrible things.
Yeah.
And so even when he's trying to be a hero, he thinks he's the only person smart enough to solve these problems. And this story really, in some really cool ways, kind of like showed him make some progress along, like maybe backing off, like realizing when he needs to let people help.
Yeah.
You
well,
know?
I mean, like, this was almost my segment of the week where, you know, we have the big gun being pointed towards the big guy, and they have this moment where we have the eyes of the Galactus Doom and the eyes of the 616 Doom both looking like, you know, they feel the same thing. Like, at some point, the Galactus Doom says, you know, they make him feel like he has been sated. He is no longer hungry. So he's like, I don't wish to do this. Please don't let me do this. And so this is around the time when Doom is being like, oh, I'm the only one that can do this. And then we have them both kind of in the same moment. Doom's hunger as Galactus is sated, while Doom from 616 is kind of realizing, oh, she can do this. Should do this even without my help. And I think that's a really cool moment, specifically drawing it with a close-up of their eyes, in a moment of climax. Yeah, that's kind of my big thing, other than my other question. But what'd you think about that moment, Doug?
I thought it was really cool. I think it's really cool how this series, like, in a lot of ways, like, it's cool. This is a series that is something that you don't really see all that often, in that, like, usually when characters jump into other universes, it's like about the larger state of the universe, or like they're interacting with alternate universe versions of other characters. But this is a series in which characters from the Fantastic Four are going into other universes and seeing what they are like in other universes.
Yeah.
And like, for whatever reason, that's not really a thing that we get all that often. We get lots of alternate universe stuff, but not like characters like seeing how they are in other universes, and I think I'm getting the impression that like that is what is going to be kind of the crux of this series. And I think so far, like, it's been a really cool avenue for like getting some cool like introspection on these characters through seeing them in other versions, and like what are the kind of the always present parts of Doom's personality or of Reed Richards' personality, and what are the differences that circumstances could cause.
That's interesting that they don't explore that more, because I feel like that's just really ripe for character study and everything like that.
I mean, you see alternate universe versions of characters, and like that's always like part of it, but you don't often see characters interacting directly with those alternate universe versions of themselves.
Okay.
You know?
Granted, they're not interacting with the universe versions of themselves, really, except for Doom.
Yeah, Doom, I guess, is the only one, and Fantastic Four. Human Torch. I almost just called Fantastic Four. Oh, boy. He kind of gets a little bit of an interaction, or at least you're seeing them both present in the issue.
So yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Fantastic Four or Johnny Storm. I have a question. So this is the first time we've seen this universe as Johnny Storm, right?
Yes, it is. Sort of.
Doesn't it kind of come out of nowhere? Is it just me?
No, because I mean, it was just, they've been hinting at his presence, that he was still in some form, like, a presence in that universe for a while.
I know,
it was just the reveal of, like, what was going on with him.
But what is going on with him?
Galactus ate the sun, so he was their son.
He was the son?
Yes, that was what that's the big reveal in the issue.
No, I see that, I know that, but, like, where was he? He was on, like, where the sun is usually, or he was, like, on a space station?
It looked closer than that. It was, like, fairly close to Earth.
Yeah, but they didn't, like, say he was, like, acting as our son.
I mean, they do.
Where? As an artificial sun. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, they do use language that specifically calls that out. Yeah, Doom says that.
I don't know. I just thought it was a little, I don't know. Maybe I just was just going too fast, and I just didn't notice it. But I just thought it was a little stilted. Weirdly.
I think you predicted this earlier when we were reading this book.
We predicted that he was the son?
I think you did. A few months ago.
Sure, I didn't jokingly say that, and now it turned out to be true.
I think you said he's like powering the sun. I swear, maybe I'm crazy.
I don't know. I'll take the credit. I predicted this. I'm so smart. In any case, okay. So that makes this a lot better for me. I'm glad we went over that. But it makes this even better. I love it. I wish we kind of. Did he die? Why didn't we get a talk from Johnny Storm at the end at all?
He's there with them. He's got a beard. He's wearing a leather jacket and he's got a beard.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which maybe you got him mixed up with Reed Richards because they both have beards now.
Yes.
In this book, but yeah, he's blonde and has a beard. He's wearing his Fantastic Four outfit under a leather jacket. So he's there. They ask him like, he gives the power cosmic back to.
I didn't realize.
Silver Surfer.
I forgot about that. But yeah, I remember him giving the power cosmic back to him. Okay. Yeah. Cool. No, and I think it leaves us in a really cool place, like to find out what like the Rachna's plan and everything is. Like we know that she was looking for someone.
She's looking for alternate universe versions of her brother, I think.
Yeah.
Is it her brother?
It's something like her brother or something. I think it's her brother.
Something like that.
But yeah, I'm pumped. This is great. I'm such a big fan.
This series has been consistently great, and I'm interested to see how this continues after the Fantastic, because it is continuing after the new Fantastic Four starts.
Yeah.
At least for a little bit.
The annual is coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it is specifically calling out on the cover The Thing and Infamous Iron Man annual. So that'll be interesting. We're gonna definitely get more Doom stuff then.
Maybe they get sent like somewhere like as a little like I don't know, a side mission with just them. Like something goes wrong and like they get sent somewhere.
It appears as if a whole bunch of Reed Richards are like wrapping them up. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. And then Marvel 2-1, it comes out in 1 month. So we get this 2 weeks from now, and then that 2 weeks from then. So that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
I'm pumped. Is that going to be Chip
Very
Zdarsky 2 as well, then? It must be, right?
The annual?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, that's my gotta talk about this. Doug, what's your gotta talk about this?
My book that I gotta talk about is the first issue of, or first full issue, I guess I should say.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Michael Bendis' new tenure as the primary Superman author. And that is The Man of Steel, number 1. Written by Brian Michael Bendis, recently moved over to DC from his long tenure as a major writer at Marvel, and illustrated by Ivan Reis.
Yeah.
I never know how to say that.
I got really excited because I thought, when I saw Reese, I thought it was going to be Rod Reese. It's like, that's weird to do.
Both fantastic artists, though. I really, I will contend nobody does straight, traditional, dramatic superhero art better than Ivan Reis.
Oh.
Other people might do more stylistic or more, experimental, takes, but if you just want, plain old, really good superhero art, in the traditional DC House style, Ivan Reis is the go-to guy on that. I think he draws the shit out of this issue.
Is it just me, or does he... I agree, first of all. Does it look a lot like Gary Frank's style, too? It looks a lot like Doomsday Clock to me.
I mean, they're both, drawing in a very, not photoreal, but, they're going for, a very cinematic, realistic, quote-unquote, kind of style. Lots of line work. So yeah. I can see how you can see a similarity. They're definitely, tonally similar. Ivan Reis is someone who, is very clearly, at least to my eye, inspired by, the art from series Crisis on Infinite Earths, or, in Infinity Gauntlet, the big epic DC stuff. George sorry, is that who? Sorry, one sec.
Okay.
Anyways, the art in those series.
George Perez did the art for Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Okay. I was leaning back to my bookshelf.
You could just ask me. I just read it.
George Perez art. I think specifically is a big influence on him. At least I don't know that, but that's what I see when I see Crisis on Infinite Earths when I look at his art. I just wanted to talk kind of about this issue and what we thought of the first big we've gotten little teases in the form of short stories from him in other Superman stuff in the last few months, kind of teasing his run. And this is the first big chunk of here's a full issue of Bendis's Superman. And I want to talk about kind of our reactions to it and what we thought of how he portrayed Superman. Mm-hmm. That was kind of the highlight of this issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what would you say because you've been reading Superman all up until now. So what would you say is refreshing about this?
I think, the Superman portrayed in this issue, Superman is so often, even in his recent series, he's portrayed as this kind of, this icon. He's not really a person.
Okay.
He is in the form of, what was cool about this latest series, by Patrick Gleason and, Peter Tomasi, was that we were seeing him as a dad, and in that way he was human, but he was still kind of this kind of aloof, untouchable, kind of just embodiment of optimism, which is usually how he's portrayed. And this book specifically, Superman was just kind of he's talking like a person, like a dude. You know?
Yeah.
He's making jokes. He's I don't know, he makes mistakes, he's listening in on the city and he gets distracted by a sound and then he feels embarrassed that he he's using a superhero hearing and he's accidentally gets distracted by someone singing a song.
Yeah.
And he's I shouldn't be listening in on people, but he made a mistake because he's fallible and human. And I just like, it's stuff like that like I just like all the little touches in this of like, it's this very like much more kind of relatable human feeling Superman, you know?
Yeah. I completely see that as well. Like, I completely agree. Like, that specific moment, I really, really enjoyed, because it felt like you were feeling with him. You know, he felt like you feel. You know what I mean? Like you would feel, like a human would feel. So I don't know. And like his interactions, like you have for your segment, like his whole interaction with the firefighter and everything, and them talking about her moving to town and stuff like that, and how he's just kind of a coworker in a way to firefighters. You know? So,
yep.
I don't know. Yeah, I totally feel you. And yeah, this is my first, like, straight up Superman issue. So, I
guess. Other than, like, Action Comics 1000 sort of was, but, like, that was a bunch of short stories.
Yeah, this is straight up, this is Superman, this is a story, and I'm pumped so far because, like, you know, I've told you this before, you know, I don't really know I never knew how you wrote him, because he is, you know, not usually like able to be hurt by a lot of things or anything, but like, you know, that emotional context that he has and holding on to that humanity that he has, that is such a crux of it. And it comes out just beautifully with how Bendis has written him. Yeah. So I'm really pumped.
Yeah. And we're definitely going to be getting more of that because, like, this is the opening chapter. He's just kind of going about his business, and in this issue, there's not a whole lot of conflict, at least on his end. We're getting kind of the setup for what will become the conflict before the end. I really like, there's lots of small moments of like clever uses of his powers too, which is like one of my like, just one of the things I love most about superhero comics is like, it's been how many years of Superman? They just had an anniversary this year, I think like 75 years or something.
It was 80 years.
80? Is it 80?
Yeah.
80 years of Superman, and like, when someone can think of like, I mean, like, I'm sure people have done stuff like this before, but like when you do stuff that I don't at least see that often with Superman's powers, like that's unique. And I like, there's a moment when like he's fighting a fire, and so he like, he there's a panel where he's sucking he's using his super breath to suck all of the flame out of the burning building. He's a staccato inhales of super breath should pull most of the fire and smoke away from the building and into and onto me, but then he's flameproof. So, you know, so he's like drawing all the fire to him, and it just kind of dies out because it doesn't have any more fuel. And it's like that, and then there's a moment where like he goes into the office early and checks that no one's around so he can use his super speed to type up his article.
Yeah.
Which is a great little moment. Like, and again, like, I'm sure people have done variations of those ideas before, but like, they like the execution on them, and like they feel unique. They feel like unique little moments they're clever uses of his powers, and I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on into like what was probably my favorite moment in a book this week, my favorite panels.
I'm sorry,
of the week.
Right before your panel, can we talk about there's a square narration box kind of thing that says, "Dad, what is that?" Clark, Dad, what is that?
What? Where is that again?
When he's using his X-ray vision to look at what caused the fire.
Mm-hmm. It is a mirror of the end of the book.
That's what I thought it was, but okay.
He's thinking about it, because there's a few moments where he gets distracted and is thinking about, because there's also the moment where he looks at, I guess that's what leads into the last sequence, but like, yeah, he keeps getting distracted by things that remind him.
This must be a flashback then, right?
This moment with, yes, this is definitely something that has already happened in some form, but he thinks of Lois and of their son John, and then we finally get like actually what he's thinking about in the end of the issue, which is potentially that, I don't know, something has happened to Lois and John. I don't know. I'm worried. I'm very worried. Everyone's paranoid about what's going to happen to Superman's status quo with being married to Lois and with having a son with her in John, and I love those characters and the relationship they've set up, and I find myself very frustrated by the cyclical nature of continuity in comics, and I really hope they don't take a big back step in putting him back as like taking that development away from him.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
I'm worried.
It's Superboy Prime. I'm just kidding now.
But anyway, okay. My favorite panels this week was a sequence in this issue, which was so he's talking to a firefighter, a new character named Melody Moore, a redheaded firefighter. After he puts out this fire, and he flies away, and she says, like, in a very small dialogue bubble, "Nice to meet you, Superman," with a very long U. And then we have a panel of him looking back at her, because he could hear her. And then there's a panel of her, like, confused and stunned, then a long panel of, like, he's gone, but she's still in the window, and then a panel of her, she says, "Super hearing, stupid," like realization. Then a panel of her covering her mouth because she realizes he can still hear her. And then she moves her hands and is smiling and says, quieter again, "Stupid." And then we get a panel of him smiling and looking back as he flies away, because this is clearly something that happens, like, this kind of stuff happens to him all the time. He just kind of thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
But, and it's just like stuff like that. Like, that's just a nice little fun, cute little moment with people interacting in very human ways with Superman's powers, and a very human reaction from him. And, that kind of encapsulates kind of what I really liked about this issue.
Yeah. It's sort of like business as usual sort of feeling, you know?
Yeah, it's like, what does it feel like to either be Superman or to be around Superman, I guess, more so in this particular sequence. Like, what is that like to interact with him? What does that feel like? And I think this gives you a kind of a fun idea of, like, the sequence of emotions that she goes through in this very simple moment with him that is complicated by his superpowers, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's really cool.
I agree.
Really like that sequence.
Definitely. Well, while we're checking off,
What?
Brian Michael Bendis.
I don't like what you said.
Okay. Sorry. In any case, while we're checking out Brian Michael Bendis, or more so Ivan Reis in my panel of the week, Doug, you were going to tell me why I really like this panel. I told you about it. Okay. This is after Rogolzar has been told by the Guardian. He has a specific name, doesn't he?
He gives him his name. He
one of the Guardians
says,
of the
"I am Appa Ali Apsa.
I am not really here." Sorry. In any case, so Ali Apsa, Appa Ali Apsa,
Ali Apsa free.
I love that game. That's a great game.
Appa Ali Oxenfree.
So after he tells Rogolzar, our bad guy, quote unquote, he tells Rogolzar that they're not going to do his plan of mass genocide, and Rogolzar does not like that. And he's in this big cavernous room. We get a full page splash of him hitting the ground in anger with his hair like going up. I don't know. There's something about the physics of him hitting the ground and seeing the movement that his coat is drawn doing, the dust around him, his hair, and the contrast of what's going on at the bottom corner of the page to the top opposite corner of the page. Like, there's something about this page that I fucking love. That's so cool. I don't know why. Can you tell me why?
I mean, I think you got, like, some good observations about why you liked it. I think, like, there's a really cool use of negative space in this panel where he's very small in the lower right hand corner. I think it like emphasizes his kind of like feeling of like he was trying to like reach out for help and was denied, and that he feels alone and frustrated, and so he's very tiny and small in the panel. There's really nice use of light and dark in that, like, his space in the lower right-hand corner is very lit up and bright and colorful, and then we get a bunch of darkness, and then one other space of very light orange, bright orange in the upper left. And I'm not entirely sure what that means. I guess that he has kind of, I don't know if I'm just, like, tossing shit at the wall right now, and maybe it's that, like, he has, like, isolated himself in that, like, there's a world out there, but he is hiding in the depths of this cave.
I feel like maybe it was also, like, there's a light from this tunnel that he sees that...
But he's looking away from it.
Okay, yeah, maybe he doesn't see it yet. Maybe there is, but he doesn't see it.
Yeah, like he is turning himself away from it.
Yeah. I just really liked it. I like how that light reflects in the negative space as well. And I don't know, there's something about... I just don't understand how people... Like, we were talking about how you didn't like the art in Damnation, how you thought that the characters were not... When they were supposed to be looking like they were moving, looked like figures that were in place. The movement at the bottom corner around Rogol's heart when he's hitting it is so... Like, you feel it moving around you, and it's so cool. How do you draw that? What is it?
You draw a lot of shit, and you look at a lot of shit, and you copy it. I mean, I'm not a fantastic artist by any means, but like, I see what you're seeing here. Like he looks like he is in the process of like punching the ground here, and like it's the ancillary movements around. It's like the way in which his muscles are flexing. It's the position of his body. It feels natural, like he's in the process of moving, rather than like him being in this weird hunched position, just frozen. And like his cloak is starting to billow up around him, and his hair is waving behind him, and we get this cloud of dust around him as he's punching the ground. That like emphasizes the in process movement. Like it's a hard thing to put your finger on, but you know what, like when you've read a lot of comics and you're starting to see this, like you know it when you see it. You know good movement, good sense of movement when you see it. Yeah. And you know it when it feels wrong. Most of the time it just like kind of glosses over you. But like when you see a panel that like feels right or feels wrong, you know it instinctively.
Okay.
And I like your choice here of like I think it's cool because you were concerned a while back, like, and you're still kind of like struggling with how to put your feelings on comic book art into words. Yes, it sounds like, but you're starting to like pay attention to stuff like that, and I think that's cool. Yeah, no, definitely. Like it looks like a cover, honestly. This image, and like I feel like if I was reading it in trade, I'd be like, oh, that's the end of the issue. But I mean, yeah, it's a really cool moment. It's the last one we get of Rogolzar in this issue, and it's a nice place to leave him off in this issue. Yeah. Big fan. I'm excited to read this. Excited to read some Superman stuff from Bendis. I'm excited. Yeah, it's also gonna be interesting because I think each issue in this miniseries is drawn by a different artist. Oh. So I'm curious to see how that continues. They have very good artists on the other issues. So like ones that I know? Probably not. I don't recall who exactly. I'll look it up later. But yeah. By the way, I found the Hillbilly series that is coming out in theoretically August 29th is what it says on League of Comic Geeks here. It says Hillbilly Red-Eyed Witchery from Beyond! God. One. I love it. That's coming out on August 29th. Is that going to beat Dr. Star and the Kingdom of Lost Tomorrows as your favorite title? Eric Powell loves him some pulpy, over-the-top title shit, and he oftentimes, like, even if it's not the title of the book, will put, like, big, like, title-y bits like that on the cover, like, the fiddle that screamed for blood, or, like, stuff like that, and, like, I love that shit. I eat that shit up. So, I mean, yes. So it does beat it. It's close. It's close. Okay. Red-eyed witchery from Beyond. So ridiculous. Love it. Okay, well, we got some fun, exciting books.
on top of there being Dr. Star and the Kingdom Lost Tomorrow next week, we got Captain America number 703, Death or Glory number 2, which I feel like it's been a while since we got that number 1. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it was just a number 1.
It's a creator-owned book from big creators, and I think that first issue was longer than normal, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is on a slightly slower schedule than one exact month between issues.
Well, in any case, I'm excited for both of those. That should be fun with that art from Bengal.
Are you going to continue it? You sounded on the fence about it after.
I did not put it on my poll, but I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it because I don't know, maybe that I just noticed that sense of motion. Maybe I'll be able to see that motion in the art again more so. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different kind of motion because it's like we're so used to seeing Rick Remender stuff that is so much about like people running around.
Yes.
And like this is a different kind of, because it's a vehicle based kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a sense of kind of like car chases and that kind of action.
Yeah. I'm pumped. Well, I just saw, Black Widow by Sam Wade had a lot of like silent sequences where there was car chases and stuff like that. Great action sequences and chase sequences and stuff in that Black Widow series. I'm so excited to continue it. It's so great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in any case,
what else?
We have some new series coming out that I'm at least going to flip through and see what I'm going to get.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I don't want to get all of them. God damn. Okay, there's Ant-Man, and it's just because, like you said, Marvel does those huge relaunches, and now
this is mostly Marvel stuff, a couple new DC books.
Stuff, yeah. We got Ant-Man and the Wasp number 1 by Mark Waid, as well as Doctor Strange by Mark Waid. I'm definitely going to flip through both of those. I'm probably on the leaning towards getting Ant-Man and the Wasp instead of Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one of those, and I would rather have one that I haven't had a title of before. And Doctor Strange in Space, I don't know. The first image didn't really, cover doesn't really do much for me.
The promo stuff for that Doctor Strange in Space series, like, I like it theoretically as a concept, but the promo stuff that I've seen for it hasn't really grabbed me in any way.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
In any case, we also got Deadpool by Scotty Young, continuing after Al Ewing's You Are Deadpool, which, Doug, you need to get at some point. It's great. That's interesting. They actually mentioned that, they had a small joke about, I wonder if this is some character thing that will develop in an upcoming series about me. It's great. Then we have Justice League number 1 on the Marvel side, or on the DC side by Scott Snyder, which, Doug.
And Jim Chung, who was the artist,
Marvel Toon one.
The sometimes artist on Marvel Toon.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me, so No Justice number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about it. Do I need to get it? Should I just get the whole thing? Do I have to?
The way they left it in the end of it, there's definitely going to be a plot point, a specific plot point that is definitely going to be continued on in this series. You can probably look it up. I wouldn't say this is necessary reading. It's better than the end of Metal was.
Yeah.
It rolls directly into the relaunches or the launches of these multiple new Justice League related books.
Yeah.
And like kind of why they split apart. I mean, it's not really, you don't really need the information. They decide to split up into a bunch of teams.
Okay.
In the end of it, which is pretty much it.
Is it basically, was No Justice having to do with like a lot of different like big things coming together, and then this is kind of like the impetus for why they need to have different subsections to deal with different sorts of threats?
Yeah, basically, like, I don't know, a bunch of characters come together, and there's, like, they split apart into these few different teams at the end because, like, theoretically, there's a bunch of new potential threats out there brought about by...
Because of the source wall?
The source wall, actually, what happened to the source?
It got broken.
The source wall was broken, but then they were, like, holding it together. I'm trying to remember what happened to the source wall at the end of this. I think... What happened to the source wall?
Oh, dude.
They're still holding it together at the end of this. Okay. So all the Green Lanterns are still kind of hanging out by the source wall, holding it together.
Okay.
Or I guess you didn't read any of No Justice. That's what they're doing.
Okay.
The Green Lantern Corps is all hanging out in front of the broken source wall, holding the crack closed with light constructs. And I guess that's still where they are. I didn't fully make the connection that they were still doing that, so they didn't follow up on that. But anyways, if you want like a quick summary, I don't really know why the mystical one forms, but the Justice League Odyssey book forms because they basically release a whole sector of new planets into space.
Oh, jeez.
That with unknown potential.
So they have to explore
So they have to kind of like, maybe like kind of make sure that doesn't become a problem.
That's cool, though. I might want to... That sounds fun, Odyssey. I like that.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out at least the first issues of... I'm probably going to commit to a few issues of Justice League Dark because I really like James Tynion's team books, at least based on Detective Comics. I'm going to try out the first issue of Justice League Odyssey. We'll see.
Odyssey is Joshua Williamson?
Yeah, that's the Flash writer.
Yeah.
And
we'll see.
I'm gonna try it out, at least.
Okay, well, other than Justice League, we also have Immortal Hulk on the Marvel side, which I'm really interested in. I really want to do it, especially because Al Ewing was the one that wrote this "You Are Deadpool" thing, and I think he's an accomplished guy. So,
by the way, sorry, we keep getting sidetracked. I retweeted someone's post on Twitter. As opposed to retweeting something on something else. I retweeted someone's post that was like they made an app to do a bunch. I know you probably finished Deadpool this week, but someone's if you're ever wanting to go back and try it again, someone made an app that like does all of the mechanics stuff for you, where you can like tick up your sadness and badness, and like it has a dice. It has a pair of Deadpool dice in it, and then like some other little like tickers or whatever.
Does it have a place to put what items you're carrying?
Yeah,
with
there's
you?
an inventory section that has like tells you what your items are.
By the way, that's one of the best things about this fucking book. It's so great. You can carry 3 items that are smaller than a bread box, and they'll just like show you the items. They don't directly point them out. Like they'll like have in a panel, there'll be just a random ketchup bottle in the foreground, or like a random anatomy textbook. And then like you can choose to pick these up, and then they will be referenced in the book.
Does it every time it shows you an item like that, does it like it makes it obvious that that's a thing you can pick up, or can you just pick up anything you see?
Basically, it's these things are put into the foreground, and they kind of look like background things, but you can pick them up. Like, I didn't even realize the ketchup bottle thing, but then I went back and saw that it was in the foreground, and then they used it at some point in a different issue. They're like, oh, if you have ketchup, do this.
Oh, so they like say, like, if you have a specific item, you can do a thing?
Oh, it's so great.
I need to try this out. It sounds fucking fun.
It's just fun as a game. Like, if anything.
Like, I saw that app thing, and I was, like, surprised. I was like, there's more mechanics in this.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was just gonna be, like, a choose-your-own-adventure thing, but it sounds there's, like, so much more of, like, a mechanics-driven game in there.
RPG.
Yeah. That's fun.
You gotta, wait for the trade. Or not. You can get the things, too. Whatever works.
I might pick up the individual issues, like, one by one, like, on, like, one at a time on slower weeks.
Oh, so you can do okay. Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so, and then what else? What else we got? We got one more.
But yeah, I'm really interested in Immortal Hulk, especially since we got the first parts of that story set up in,
I'm curious to see how, that's probably one I'm going to pick up. Out of all of these books, just because I haven't read much Hulk stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought what they did with him in No Surrender was one of the more interesting parts of that series. So
even in Thanos, they kind of toyed with that sort of idea.
A little bit. Yeah, the idea of him being immortal. Yeah. I want to see how they follow up on that. But at least the first issue.
The other one in DC that I wanted to look up, that I just kind of randomly looked up because I saw that number 1 was coming out, that looks really cool, is the Unexpected number 1, which unexpectedly might be really interesting.
Yeah, so it is the latest in the New Age of DC Heroes line of books from DC, which has been fairly hit or miss, but I mean, that's whatever. They're all different writers and stuff. It's hard to put that on the line, but
I've never heard of this writer,
It's Steve Orlando, whose stuff he was a writer he wrote a really, really good Midnighter series. I don't know if you know who Midnighter is. I was almost going to do him as the character. I should have done him as the character. I didn't know we were going to end up talking about Steve Orlando. Midnighter is a character from Warren Ellis's Authority series.
Oh, okay.
And he is a character who got enveloped into the DCU when New 52 happened. Anyways, he wrote a really, really good run on a book about him, and I really liked that. They continued it with a miniseries called Midnighter and Apollo, and for a little bit there, I was like, Steve Orlando is the most exciting new writer at DC.
Oh.
And then he came out, and then they put him on Justice League of America, which is the book that you got a tiny little bit of a taste of in that it was the book that crossed over in Milk Wars with Young Animal, or it crossed over with Doom Patrol. That Justice League of America was a book I was very excited about and was very disappointed by.
Okay.
So
he's responsible for the lack of Adam after Rebirth.
The lack of Adam?
Didn't they drop the whole Adam storyline that they were doing?
Oh, the Adam? No, because he follows up on it. And I saw that he was doing that stuff, but I had already fallen off of that series.
Oh, okay.
That series has what is the name of that Adam? Adam Choi?
Okay.
Something Choi? The legacy version of the Adam who it was like, where is the original Adam, Ray Palmer?
Yeah.
He's trapped in the whatever DC's version of the microverse.
Yes.
Quantum realm or whatever the hell. He's trapped in a subatomic level of some kind. And they definitely followed up on that. I saw that they were doing that storyline, but I had already before fallen off on that series because I didn't like it.
Okay, so you're towing the water with him, you know.
Yeah. I thought he didn't do well with a team book. I thought he did much better with a focused single character. And so I have been on the fence about whether or not I want to pick it up because I really want to like something from him because I thought he was a very exciting talent for a little bit there. And I want to like his stuff again.
But I love the idea that she must now start a fight once every 24 hours to feed the conflict engine. That's awesome.
Conceptually, this book is touching a lot of things about superhero comics that I really like in that, it's doing weird off-kilter powers and it's introducing a whole new team of new interesting characters.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up. I'm gonna pick it up.
Yeah.
Let's see what we think.
Yeah, why not? Now, sorry. Tangent coming off of this thing with Steve Orlando, that whole thing, because you mentioned the Atom and Ray Palmer. Do you know what actor plays Ray Palmer in the CW verse?
Yeah, Brandon Routh,
who played Superman and that shitty Superman Returns movie.
Because all of the CW's castings are based on fan service and not actual acting merit.
Okay. I like the Flash guy. He sounds good.
Yeah, he's okay. He's more of a Wally West in character than a Barry Allen, but I don't know.
Okay.
The Flash is an okay show.
Oh, you watched a bit of it?
I watched most of the first season. It was like my turn my brain off, I want to just have a thing on show for a little bit.
Okay.
And then after a while, the cheesiness of it got a little grating for me, and I couldn't do it anymore. But
I watched a clip of one of their team ups or whatever, and the aliens, all the effects was so bad. It was so sad.
Yeah, the effects are not great. It's TV. And it's also the CW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what can you ask for? But I more so found the writing on that show, and pretty much any superhero CW show that I've watched.
I heard Black Lightning's supposed to be really good.
Very on the nose and cringy. But what did you say?
I heard Black Lightning's supposed to be good.
I've heard good things about Black Lightning. I don't know. It'll take a lot to get me to try one of those shows.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case, those were our next week highlights. I'm pumped. I'm really pumped.
Yeah,
for
lots of new books. It's going to be hard for me to narrow it down because I feel like I have to try at least a couple of them.
Yeah.
There's so many. I'm definitely reading Justice League. I feel like that doesn't factor into the couple.
Yeah.
Because I'm already sold on that one.
Well, thank God it's like kind of a small week for things we're definitely getting. I mean, for me at least. Captain America, Dr. Star, Man of Steel. Those are the only ones that
I've
are
got
like...
a fairly... Let's see. What do I got? Oh, God, I'm on the wrong week. What is it? June 6th. I got a fair number of books. Yeah. Although I suppose once I narrow down what of these new series I'm getting, it'll be less. But
yeah, but I'm definitely gonna get, I think, Mortal Hulk, Death of Glory, of course, and Unexpected. I'll get Justice League.
I think I'm gonna get the Unexpected and Immortal Hulk. You think you're gonna get Justice League? You're not even gonna give the first issue an automatic try?
No, I'll give it I'm gonna get it. I want to get Ant-Man and the Wasp too. There's so much. I'm taking Doctor Strange off this list. I'm not getting it. I'm not going to flip through it.
I didn't even have Doctor Strange on this list to begin with. I don't know that I'm going to get it. I don't know that it makes the cut. I'll wait, and if I hear really good things about it, I really like Doctor Strange, and maybe I'll go back and get it. But
yeah, just
depending on... Oh, God, there's so many... But this is just like the worst time for like my poll getting out of control. There's so many new series launching. There's multiple new series launching next week that I feel like I have to try.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about that. The Magic Order.
Oh yeah,
trailer.
You released it. That's crazy. Is that coming out next week?
Yes.
Oh shit.
So it still continues to confuse me. Jack originally had an article on here, not an article, but
video.
And in news, he had that Netflix is publishing, I guess, this series from Mark Millar called The Magic Order. It's also being put out by Image. It's very confusing. I don't understand.
I have a Netflix account. Can I just get this for free?
I'm so confused by it. I don't know what this means. I feel like I should do some research on this, but like, could they put out a trailer for it? Sometimes comic book publishers do trailers, and I guess Netflix did it because they're Netflix, and so they put out trailers for stuff, and so they thought it was a novel thing. It does look cool. It's a little bit, it felt weird because I was confused when I first saw like the link to that. I was like, is there gonna be a video version of this?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or like, are they making a TV series in tandem with it or something? And then it was a video trailer for the book. But yeah, I'm curious if there's a way for, if you are a Netflix you would think, like if it's Netflix is putting it out, that you would get like a free digital, not free, but you would get a digital version of it included with your subscription.
Yeah.
I'm not actually 100% sure on that. I should look it up.
I don't know.
But they are putting out a print version of it through Image, which is confusing.
Yeah.
Weird. Anyways, I'm definitely picking that up, and then, oh God, there's so many. Yeah.
There's
too many new books.
If I get
Plastic Man, Hawkman's
coming out next week?
Not next week, but the following week. I just mean like upcoming. There's so many.
Yeah, there are
so
a lot.
Many books.
It's summer.
Iron Man is starting in 3 weeks.
Dan Slots.
Ugh.
Oh my
yes.
God. Jesus. And I don't know. Are you thinking about getting Nick Spencer's Amazing Spider-Man or no?
When does that come out? I'm definitely going to
soon.
try that. That's on July 11th, so
okay,
just over a month from now. But I'm definitely going to try that one.
Yeah,
I want to read a Spider-Man book.
Next week, if I get Magic Order, I'm going to have 9 books. That's a lot.
Yeah.
God. But at least you can narrow it down. At least it's 1 week, probably, that you'll have that many, and you'll be able to narrow it down, hopefully, somewhere. I'm
starting to push, like, getting, like, I know there are people out there, I see people post about this on a weekly basis that get way more books than this, but for me, like, I try to keep my books below, on average, 10 a week, if I can help it. Large weeks tend to go up to, like, 12 at the highest, and at once I get more than that, I start to go, like, oh, shit, I don't have the budget for this, but, like, it's starting to push, like, 12 books a week, at least in looking at the upcoming stuff with all these new launches. And
yeah.
Untenable for me and my budget.
More like 9able.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in any case, Doug, let's move on. Oh, also, sorry, one more thing. In the back of Doomsday Clock, I finally am starting to read the back of these issues.
Yeah, this was the first one I read in a while, because this
Did you see who is in there?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a few things, but also Animal Vegetable
India.
Mineral Man is in here.
I was so excited.
The superhero team from India, the Doomed, which is made up of a lot of I don't know who some of these characters are, but I think they're all Doom Patrol related characters. We got Beast Girl, who is I assume some kind of variant of Beast Boy. Who was originally a Doom Patrol character.
Yeah. We got about Celsius, who, Dr. Niles Calder. They talk about Niles Calder and everyone in her bio. But we also have Negative Woman in another team.
Yeah, we have Negative Woman and Vostok, who I thought were the same character. But anyway, you see Negative Woman earlier in the issue. She's in the, TV broadcast where they have the team of characters who are calling themselves the Outsiders, which is very confusing because we're about to get another reason why this book is weird in how, no one seems to be touching anything that's happening in this, and Jeff Johns is just kind of doing his own thing. He's basically revealing this new Outsiders team, and then the next issue of Detective Comics we're getting is also introducing an entirely separate new team of Outsiders led by Batman. But, Negative Woman is in that panel. This kind of thing where it's and here's a bunch of superhero teams from around the globe and a bunch of bios about them. I love that shit. Yeah. I love that kind of shit. It's so fun. And just thinking about those those teams and how cool would it be to see a story in which these characters show up or about these characters or something, just the pure potential of putting all of this shit on a page like that is very fun and something I love.
Also, I didn't know Geoforce was a character in I thought Geoforce was a character from Crisis that was just from a different Earth that was different.
No, he's just a character in DC.
Okay, he looks a lot like Green Lantern in Crisis, I thought.
He's spandex wearing dude who's got his hair flowing out in his costume. Yeah. In
any case, so that was awesome. Doug, I think we're going a little long, but I want to talk about this still. I really do. Because I've read so fucking much.
Yeah, I think we want to try to make I think we can still do a little bit of work to cut down on the news segment, but we want to make a commitment to try to talk more about our other comic stuff outside of our books that we're reading on a weekly basis.
It's most of my reading these days. It's insane how much
you are devouring a lot of stuff in trade these days. Way more than I am, honestly.
Also, everyone should know I pledged Doug, so he's going to be in a tree soon.
Chit. Jack read the first volume of Witches, the only current volume other than the.
There's going to be a new one coming out soon.
Is it soon? When is it coming out?
He announced it or something.
He did announce it. I don't, or at least, they've been doing short stories in the back of Image Plus, which is a magazine from Image. Okay. So they've been doing installments of it in some form. I haven't read them. I don't know if they're going to release those elsewhere, if they'll put a book out of that once it's done, or if it's done. I have no idea.
So I don't want to get Image Plus to read that.
Which is The Bad Egg, I think.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be, he has said there's going to be more of it, I think, in a full volume of some kind.
Yeah. I'm pumped. I loved that. It was so cool.
Yeah. Very great.
But also, Nameless. Also, I read as for a horror thing, which I read the back of it and it still kind of went over my head.
That series, you and your girlfriend both made the decision to read that kind of on your own.
Yeah.
And I read that series and I liked it, I think.
I mean, okay, here at the back, they really talk about how it's not supposed to be a normal thing. It's supposed to be terrifying, not in that it's a coherent story necessarily, but terrifying images. And it's supposed to make you feel things.
It's definitely more of a tone piece of a horror book than it is like a scary story, you know? Because I have no idea, I think, at the end of the day, what happened in that book. I did not have the benefit of reading the essay or whatever it was that you read.
I'll take a picture of it so you can see it.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested.
He talks a lot about his influences from H.P. Lovecraft and shit like that. So
yeah, there's definitely some of that kind of cosmic horror kind of stuff in that book.
But another big thing that I finished was East of West Volume 1, and I also read all of S.H.I.E.L.D. Have you read any more yet? Have you caught up?
I read all of that first volume over Memorial Day weekend. I have not read any of the issues in the second volume yet. I will do that this week, so that or wait, when is
June 13th? So not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday.
Okay, so I've got a couple weeks.
Yeah,
so
definitely
I'll need to read those 5 issues. I should be able to do that if I remember to do it.
I'm very excited to talk about, especially that 5th issue, because it's nuts. It's fucking crazy.
That first volume though is really cool. I think you wanted to talk about a little bit about.
You said that Jonathan Hickman writes in a very specific way, and I wanted to ask you what that is as it applies to S.H.I.E.L.D. and East of West, because I finished that first thing too.
So, Jonathan Hickman is kind of a little bit of a divisive writer.
Okay.
In that Jonathan Hickman writes with a different sort of set of priorities than most people would associate with, like, traditionally what you'd say is good writing.
Okay.
Not in every way, but in some major ways. And specifically, I would say in that he's a writer who, most writers, they write about characters, and those characters are in stories, and those stories are supported by interesting ideas. Jonathan Hickman writes about interesting ideas that inform interesting stories that happen to have characters in them that are a vehicle for the ideas. To me, Jonathan Hickman doesn't really write characters, or at the very least, the character work he has in his books is entirely ancillary and in support of the ideas and story that he's trying to provide.
Okay, so
and
he would rather write a story with interesting concepts where characters are a part of the concept, as opposed to concepts that are a result of the character. You know what I mean?
Yes. It's just like that the focus of his books is not on character work. There is character work in his series, but that list of priorities is inverted.
It's about high concepts.
It's about high concepts. It's about world building. It's about like exploring interesting ideas around, like, what if there was this whole secret history and stuff, and those create kind of general storylines.
Yeah.
Yes, that can be cool, but it's still all in service of, like, him exploring cool ideas, big ideas.
He's a big picture guy.
Yeah, he's a writer like some kind of divisive sci-fi writers, like a Lovecraft or a different genre, but like, or what did you say?
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Very divisive.
But
can't argue that.
A lot of people criticize Jonathan Hickman for, like, not writing good characters, and my response to that would always be, like, that's not why you read a Jonathan Hickman book. You know?
Okay.
Like, I think he does interesting stuff with his characters, but again, I'm there for the big cool ideas and the weird conspiracy stories and kind of the opposite of what you come to a lot of superhero books for, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Well, I'm really excited for you to read that second volume of stuff, because I think it really picks up in there. Like, I liked the first volume of it, but I really loved the second part of it, the rebirth stuff. So I'm really excited for you to get there. Cool. Interesting. As for other books, I recently finished Black Science Volume 5, the one where, spoilers for everybody, for Black Science a while ago, the one where, like, Grant goes to the world where Pia has brought peace and stuff, and he crashes into their thing that was bringing them peace, and then he gives the witch his intellect and shit. She's like, oh, I'm gonna use Black Science and shit, motherfucker, and so he's dumb now. Or not dumb, but he's, like, normal, and now he's in jail with that one fat dude.
Yeah, he traded his great intellect in order to
make the place better than he found it.
to kind of fix problems that he caused for his daughter. He fucked up some shit in her, like, she had found this happy life, and he goes there and is trying and like fucks everything up for her, and in trying to fix it, he gives up his intellect to basically a witch.
Yeah, literally.
Which is a weird, crazy kind of development in a sci-fi series like that.
It's a dimension, so I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, and the way, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but I'll just say, like, not just that, but just all of the plot threads in that book that, like, you can think of all sorts of things that happen early on and stuff that just felt like they didn't go anywhere. Like, it all comes together at the end.
Because I'm specifically thinking about this one chick who's like the android chick who, last I saw her, she went to a place that just got cured from their plague, and she just blew all of them up.
Android chick? Are you talking about
blonde-haired person who is on their trip, but then she stole one of the pillars that was working, and she's now like,
Chandra?
Yeah, she's killing fuckers all over the place.
Yep, everything comes back.
Isn't she kind of an android of some sort?
No, she if you haven't gotten the development on what was going on with her, you will.
Okay. I got an idea because her eyes were lighting up and shit, I guess.
Yes,
maybe that's
there's
where I got android.
Something else going on there. But,
but shit, we haven't seen her for like 2 volumes. Because, like, the 4th volume is Godworld, and that's the Grant McKay, all that shit. And then the 5th one was just this whole story with them getting back to their Earth and stuff, and then finding the fat dude is, you know, trying to get all his shit. Yeah, fuck that guy. He sucks. And then, oh my god, the last thing that happened, I don't know if you remember this, but it's a fucking awesome moment. We cut to like these people who are going to different dimensions trying to find stuff to experiment on and stuff, and they come back with these cute, cuddly creatures.
Oh god,
and then, oh my god, it's so great! And they become these giant things that are like, oh, you are weak, minded things that we will, you know, have. I don't even remember what it was, but it's just hysterical.
Are you talking about, what is that thing's name?
I don't remember.
Oh, there's
it's like a furry thing, and they turn into
big
these
purple monstery muppety looking thing, but then it's like talking about how it's gonna like lay eggs in people, like also like the most foul-mouthed fucked up thing.
Yes.
And it's just like looks so goofy with these goofy teeth and big googly eyes.
Yeah.
It's so fucking fun. Like, it's fucked up and funny and like also terrifying.
Is that just a moment, or does that come back too?
It's everything feeds into like how this series like culminates.
I love this so much.
Seriously.
Is it ongoing still?
It's
like
almost done. We're in the climactic. Well, actually, I think we're either leading towards like a second climax, or we're in the wind it down. I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
But
I have the last 2 volumes that are there. Like, I'll be caught up until issue 33, and now they're on 36. Okay. So
wow, yeah. So you're not that far behind. I think we're in the last arc. I think.
Okay.
God.
Yeah, I'm really happy that I picked this stuff up. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention that we didn't talk about when we talked about Doomsday Clock. So I've been reading a lot of JSA lately. I have been reading it for a long time. I like in between other books. I have a whole bunch of JSA volumes from Jeff Johns.
Oh wow.
Jeff Johns and David Goyer.
Wait, David Goyer? He did movies.
He's done a lot of movies, some very good and some very bad.
Dark Knight, right?
He co-wrote The Dark Knight with all of the Dark Knight movies, I believe, with Christopher Nolan, and then also some bad stuff. But he I don't know if he came from comics. I don't know what the timeline is there, but he has written a bunch of comics, a lot of times co-writing. But he co-wrote at least the beginning parts of Jeff Johns' JSA run. Anyways, the Justice Society of America is what that is. It's basically the Justice League before there was a Justice League. Older Golden Age characters. And I read those like kind of in between reading other stuff. I read like volumes of those or bits of those. as a more on long-term kind of undertaking, and I got real back into reading a bunch of those this last week and a half, and I was very excited this week to see that we're getting some significant developments in kind of bringing the JSA back in Doomsday Clock, which you probably didn't know what was going on.
I did not.
Okay, so this character, Johnny Thunder, the old man who escapes from his retirement home.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He is a JSA character who they teased in DC Universe Rebirth. And so he here is looking for...
The Green Lantern?
He saw an article with what did the newspaper even say? So he had like... He was under this weird delusion that like he needed this magic lamp that he sees an article about green fire consumes all American steel and makes this connection. And so he goes there, and it turns out there totally is the original Green Lantern's lantern. So if you don't know who the original Green Lantern is, he is a character who is entirely unrelated to the Green Lantern Corps or any of that shit. He is basically Hal Jordan was a reboot of the idea of Green Lantern.
Okay.
And they just didn't reference it when they did it. They were just like, and Green Lantern is this now, and he's this guy, and it's entirely different. But they kept the original Green Lantern around, and he is a character who uses a lantern, and it makes constructs out of something called the Green Flame.
Huh.
And he wears a red costume with a big green cape and a purple mask. And he is one of the founding members of the JSA, and they're heavily teasing his return here. Alan Scott.
Wow.
And he's a cool character. I like him a lot. He has gone by either Green Lantern, or after a while they changed his name to Sentinel to avoid confusion. But he kept the same powers.
Okay. So now the old dude is with Rorschach and Saturn Girl. So well, okay, interesting. I'm glad you told me, because I when the lantern showed up, I was like, oh, okay, that's happening.
Yeah, so that's not not to do with like the Green Lantern Corps or Hal Jordan or any of that. It's to do specifically with the original Green Lantern, who was a teammate of this guy Johnny Thunder.
Okay.
Who has a pen with a genie in it.
Oh. Okay. Well, that's fun.
Yep. But anyway.
Can I do one more thing before you go into your other thing? Because I didn't tell you something. Today, I decided that my next thing is going to be Saga of the Swamp Thing.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so the Alan Moore run on Swamp Thing.
Yes. So I read the first 2 issues this morning, as well as this really cool essay written by Len Wein, which is the one of the co-creators of Swamp Thing, along with artist Bernie Wrightson. Recently passed.
I believe both Len Wein definitely just recently passed.
Yeah.
I think Bernie Wrightson also, is he, when did he, maybe he's,
here, you look that up. In any case, Len Wein wrote this really great.
He died last year, so they both died in the last year or two here.
Okay. Well, in any case, I read this whole essay that he wrote about 10 years in 2008, 10 years ago. Isn't that crazy that was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
It was a really cool essay he wrote about, like, I don't know, kind of how he came to think of the character, which he says is just kind of like, he didn't have an idea until the day he needed an idea, and he just thought, okay, what if we did this and this and this, and it was just Swamp Thing, and it's called Swamp Thing because he was talking about, oh yeah, that Swamp Thing I'm working on, and then that just kind of became his name.
That's great. That's great.
I love that stuff. It's a greatly written thing. I'll take a picture of it or something, or scan it or something, so you can read it at some point, or it might be somewhere.
I probably have a similar essay in my. I probably don't have the same trade as you, because you probably have a newer one than I do.
Or something, yeah.
I think I've got a smaller, older printing of the first volume. But okay.
It's I was reading the first 2 issues of it, and just everything about it is so great. Like what happened was they were tying up some loose ends, but it's
so yeah, did they include every trade is different. Sometimes they include Alan Moore wrote his first issue is him wrapping up the arc that the previous writer had started.
Yes,
and then he starts his story, and I don't think I've ever read that that first issue.
Oh,
it's not really related.
I think it's the first 2 issues, honestly.
Oh, is it?
I think so, because basically, can I tell you the story of what I read?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever read them. I just started with the first of Alan Moore's, like, new story.
Okay. So what happened was, like, we have Swamp Thing, and he's, like, going around a wreckage that happened just now.
Sure.
And Arcane died. The Anton Arcane, the evil guy, I guess. And he's like walking around the wreckage, and then there's like government, but not really government dudes who are trying to like gather the wreckage and find the Swamp Thing. And at the end of that first issue, they find Swamp Thing and they shoot him in the head, and they put him on ice. They freeze him. And then they bring him to their facility for an autopsy. Did you get to the autopsy? Is this normal? Is this what you're...
So I believe, is that the first issue of Alan Moore's run? Or is that something that happens before it? I do not remember. The anatomy test is the first issue of the stuff I've read.
Okay. So I just read 1 issue before that, which was, yes, tying up the stuff, and they show him getting shot and putting him on ice. But
so then that next issue is the start of, like, Alan Moore's new original story.
Which was one of my favorite issues I think I've read.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That anatomy thing, like, going into, like, what he is, finding out what he is, and, like, studying him.
So, I gave you the context of kind of, like, what that upset, right? Before you read this?
Yes.
That, like, he was just... He is Alec Holland, and he was turned into a swamp monster.
Yes.
And so this story upsets that idea with the notion that what if Alec Holland died and he's actually just something that absorbed the memories of Alec Holland? Because it doesn't really make sense that he turned into a plant.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
But and they go into that whole planarian worms thing, which is a real thing also. It's such a cool idea, and they build the horror in such a cool way. And they include the covers of these, and guess what's on them? The Comics Code Authority approved.
Really?
Which is funny, because these should not be approved by Comics Code Authority, right?
Yeah. When were these issues?
1983.
I think it got more lax as time went on.
Yeah, these are like 1983. He said
does it say Comics Code, or does it say...
It has a little stamp thing, and it says... Let me just get it out right here. Whip it out. It says, approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. That's fascinating.
75 cents. God damn.
Yeah. That's inflation for you.
Yeah.
But, it's so good. I love, Alan Moore, like, all of his superhero stuff, like, tends to have, like, just that little edge of horror in it. And this is a series that is just him just leaning entirely into that. And it's kind of the thing that kind of made him at DC. This was before Watchmen. This was before, a lot of his major stuff. And it's just such, it set the standard for that character in a lot of ways. And it's a really good run. I've always been meaning, it's a run I've never finished. I've read like half of it.
Well, there's a fuck ton. There's 6 of these big books.
Yeah, there's a lot of it. And
1983 to 1987 I read. Yeah. But yeah, this is Alan Moore in general. He seems to be like, when he writes something, he seems to be like way ahead of his time all the time.
Oh, for sure. He was Watchmen. He set like, he was the template for comics for like 20 years. Like people are still trying to ape him, you know, like he changed like the potential specifically of superhero comics, but like also kind of like the, like he created the potential for more thoughtful, mature comics.
Yeah. Like, I was just thinking, like, Watchmen came out at the same time as Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I feel like, while Crisis on Infinite Earths is a fantastic, very different story, obviously, Watchmen has this awareness of the superhero genre that seems to be very lost on a lot of other things that are written in that time period. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's because it was happening at the same time. Like, after that book, everything was taking all of the wrong cues from that and trying to do the same thing in bad ways.
Yeah.
But, it just, like, it was something that, like, just, he has such a unique and, I don't know, just like a really, really good handle on what makes superhero comics interesting and not interesting, and what makes them tick and what is interesting about those characters. Yeah.
But I'm really pumped. Like, the second issue, like, the first issue is great, but the second issue, you can really tell that he's in his own, like, sort of thing, and he's like, I just fucking love it. It's so, I'm so pumped. That
run introduces also just a lot of new concepts that become, like, kind of, they are now, like, his run sets so much of the mythos of Swamp Thing and what his status quo is. I'm excited for you to, have you read anything that has the Parliament of Trees in it?
No.
That'd be a
good thing to have on a thing.
The Parliament of Trees is great.
Or should I just...
one of the crucial things of Swamp Thing.
Okay, you shouldn't tell me about it, because if I learn about it in this, then I should just have it naturally, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Very excited.
Cool. And then, so I'll finish that book before I go into my huge, amazing Spider-Man book that I got. But I have so much. I should also tell you about, because we have the Paybacks by Donny Cates, which I'm also really excited to read.
Oh, sure, yeah, I have not read that.
Have you heard of it, though?
I have heard of it, yes.
Oh, it looks great. It looks just like really fun Cates superhero stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pumped.
That was...
And it's Jeff Shaw. Oh, yeah.
Yes, that was his, one of his longtime collaborators, who did Thanos with him.
Yes. And God Country.
And God Country. Oh, God. Oh, so good.
In any case, should we do it? Do you want to talk about the other one that you have on?
Okay. We don't have to, like, get too bogged down in it, but, I mean, I don't know. If we're not in a time crunch here, I just want to shout out, I just finally got around to reading the second volume of Mark Millar and Frank Quitely's Jupiter's Legacy. So they did a first volume. They did a flashback series called Jupiter's Circle, and then a second volume called Jupiter's Legacy 2, and then I believe there is a Jupiter's Circle 2 that has come out, and they are going to do a third volume of Jupiter's Legacy in the next year, I think.
Okay.
And
Frank Quitely, what else did he do?
Frank Quitely, I'm trying to think if you've read anything by him.
I'm pretty sure I have, because I feel like I recognize that name a lot.
He does a lot of work with Grant Morrison. He is one of Grant Morrison's, like, favorite collaborators. I don't know.
Did he do anything on Doom Patrol?
He did a run of Flex Mentallo with him. Which is a great miniseries.
I might have seen his name on Animal Man.
Animal Man. I'm trying to think what he did with Animal Man. Frank Quitely?
I don't know. Maybe not.
He did. I mentioned his name, I think, the other day, in that he, along with Mark Millar again, follows up on The Authority after Warren Ellis leaves.
I'm thinking about that.
Maybe that's where you got the name. But
maybe.
Jupiter's Legacy basically is a series by Mark Millar and Frank Quitely, in which it is we've got a universe of superheroes, an all-new universe, and they have had children, and the children grow up, and it's about kind of what happens to a world in which people there are all these people who have been raised by superheroes? What effect does that have on them? What kind of people are they? And then there's like the ramifications of kind of how those people have like what they turned out to be. And it's just one of the most like inventive and cool and I don't know, innovative superhero comics I've read in a long time. It's a really cool, unique story. And the Jupiter's, so basically, it's a lot about their children, and then Jupiter's Legacy, or Jupiter's Circle, the flashback series that happens in between each volume, is a flashback series about their parents back in basically the Golden Age, and their relationships that all kind of gives context to how the modern kind of events have come about. And then they follow up on like plot threads in terms of like those characters' relationships and grudges in the following volume of Jupiter's Legacy. And I have yet to read that second volume of Jupiter's Circle yet, that has come out, but I just really wanted to shout that book out, even though it's been out for a while. It's a really, really cool, not big two superhero series and universe. Mm-hmm. And Frank Quitely's layouts are like the way in which he arranges panels and pages is unmatched. He is that is like like layouts, page layouts, and arrangement of panels is something that like is something it's probably going to take you a while to appreciate as someone newer to kind of the medium of comics. I mean,
but, honestly, it's something I'm kind of a nerd about right now. Like, I'm really into that. Like, with Gideon Falls specifically, I love that.
Oh, yeah.
And then with Swamp Thing, he has a fuck ton as well. Like, really cool layouts of how you read it, like playing with how you read it and the pacing of that. I don't know. I'm really big fan.
And there's a difference. There's oftentimes a difference between like, I would say like Andrea Sorrentino on Gideon Falls is like the stuff in there is super interesting and cool. And to me, it's something akin to like the cool, inventive, crazy editing of an Edgar Wright movie. You know, in that like it's just like inventive and crazy and weird. It's also, and this is not a knock against it, just as a comparison, it is also inventive kind of just to be stylish and like cool. It's not really necessarily always there in service of like serving the story, although sometimes it is. I wouldn't say that in all cases, but I'd say it leans more in that direction to me. Whereas like someone like a Frank Quitely, like he's so inventive and interesting in his layouts in ways that are so integral to like how you perceive the characters and the story and how you get the flow of information and action. And I definitely recommend his work. Any of his stuff with Grant Morrison is a shoe-in if you ever are curious.
Okay, I'm definitely going to check it out.
I just bought recently a book by the two of them called We Three. That is a fantastic book. That caught our eye. That's about dogs, right? It's about 3 house pets, a dog, a cat, and a rabbit, who were experimented on by the government to become super weapons.
I love it. I'm getting it. Don't tell me anything else. I'm so excited.
That's all you need to know. It's so good. It's Grant Morrison, and it's one of the most unique comic book stories I've read, because it's all about these like. They talk in a sense, but it's not about human characters, and it's so good.
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
Great.
I'm really pumped, and we'll keep talking about old books for everybody as well. Maybe not so much. This is the first one, but
we went fairly long, but we do want to try to fit in a little bit, at least mention more of our kind of side reading journeys.
Definitely.
Cool.
But that's gonna be doing it for this week. If you made it this far, Thank you for listening. Seriously, we love you guys. We love you so much. I have a picture of all of you in my room. We're a podcast, new podcast, newish. We're almost in our dirty 30, as we said. But the absolute biggest thing you can do for us, nonetheless, is if you like the show, is give us a review or star rating on iTunes. It's how they measure a lot of their viewing, visual stuff when you search for stuff. So it's cool. If you enjoyed what you heard, let someone know about us with your mouth or with your mouse. I was going to do this new thing where I click. Did you hear that?
Oh, boy.
Nice.
There's Foley work happening now.
I don't know what that means. But we release episodes weekly on Sundays, so be sure to check back in next week or subscribe, and you'll never have to think about it.
A Foley artist is someone who creates the sound effects in filmic mediums.
Oh, cool.
So you can subscribe to the show or listen to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Google Play Music. So whichever podcast app you prefer, we've got you covered. God damn it. I was going to do the thing this time. I refused to do the thing so often, and you stole it from me.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm learning.
Before the next episode, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook under the handle @ComicsCovered. You can also find web archives of all of our episodes, every single one, at comicscovered.libsyn.com. That's libsyn.com. And we've also got video versions, not actual video versions, but we've got video archives of the audio on either our YouTube channel or on Facebook, depending on what you prefer. Or we've started posting what? No, that's what I just said. Don't trick me, words. If you want to get a hold of us with a question or feedback, or get your get something answered on the show or something, send us a message on Facebook or Twitter, or our email, comicscovered@gmail.com. And maybe we'll feature you on an episode if we ever get back to listener questions, because we have not gone extremely long.
Yes.
Thanks again for listening, folks. I also love you. I love you more than Jack, and I have 2 pictures of all of you, and I give you each picture 10 kisses every night.
Little clingy.
I mean, I think we have a deep and close relationship, all of our listeners and me, and their 2 photos.
Okay.
I'm Doug.
And this isn't even my final form. And this has been Comics Covered.
Is that a Dragon Ball? I don't even know. All right, goodbye.
Yeah, it's Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Cheerio.
Bye.